It's time for Dodger baseball. It's time.
What's going on, Dodgers Nation? Welcome to the Dodgers Nation post-game show. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. Thank you for joining us. After the Dodgers lose another one, they finished the road trip 2-4. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Phillies. They fall to Philly 7-3. Their record's now 37-29. They're 3 games back of that pesky Diamondbacks team that continues to win, that continues to play scrappy. I was watching both games at the same time. They end up coming back on the Tigers, scoring 4 runs there in the 9th. And I've got news for you. That Diamondbacks team, they're not going away anytime soon. They might win the division this year, and they're going to be contenders in this division for the foreseeable future. And it was more of the same from this Dodgers bullpen. Of course, it was a bullpen game, and we have some thoughts on that because it could have been Tony Gonsolin, but Dave Roberts said that the recovery hasn't been going great for the Catman, so they decided to give him an extra day of rest. They go with the bullpen game, especially after yesterday where Andre Jackson was able to step up and get that 3-inning save. So it looked like it was a perfect opportunity for this to be a bullpen game, but unfortunately, they still didn't get the job done. Now, Caleb Ferguson, you had some soft contact, some bad luck. You had Victor Gonzalez, who performed well. Adam Kolarek, he performed well. Nick Robertson, he had a very rough go of it. We're going to talk about that. And also, too, this offense, to be fair, they didn't carry their weight anyway. I mean, they scored 3 runs, scored just 3 runs on 5 hits. They ended up going 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. So the offense didn't perform very well either. And this Dodger team, they are down bad. They've lost 14 of their last 24 games. They're falling behind the NL West. This team is in shambles from a pitching standpoint. Other than Clayton Kershaw and Bobby Miller, there's really no consistency from this pitching staff. They get walked off 3 times this week. Just a terrible, terrible week for this Dodger team that, hey, if a 3-3 was going to be a happy flight going 500, 2-4, that should be a miserable flight where no one's even talking to each other. Everyone has their headphones on the whole entire time. They have their man-to-mask on, just sleeping all the way home. But let me know down below in the comments section, what are your big takeaways from not only this game, but this road trip? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about this Dodgers team? Because this is starting to feel like the Dodger team that a lot of people envisioned, a team that was expected to win 89 or 90 games, something around that, and not really be major players. Well, the offense has looked the part. Freddie Freeman had another big day, but for the most part, the pitching, they're one of the worst in all of Major League Baseball. They're ranked 22nd as a unit. The bullpen is bottom 5. Last year, they were 3rd in all of Major League Baseball at this point of the season. So it's not looking good for you, Los Angeles Dodgers. But let's jump into the comment section and let's sort this whole thing down. Sort this whole thing out. Let's break everything down. But I'm looking for that comment of the night, as always. When I see that, you're going to see one of these.
You win.
Anytime you're bringing a fire take, anytime I see something spicy, something heaty, it can be something crazy, you're going to get one of these.
Fire take.
So the hotter that take is, the more likely you're going to see one of those. But let's jump into the comments section. We got Don Kim saying, why? Joshua Altamirano over on YouTube says, oh, man. Rob over on Facebook, Fire Roberts. Bedin Cozy over on YouTube says, this team blows. Yeah, Rob, as far as Fire Roberts, who else do you got? I mean, that's kind of the role in this show, of course. Who else do you want to step up in this situation? Because, look, was it Dave Roberts that chose to go with the bullpen? I can guarantee you, based on people I've talked to, based on how much I know this organization, that was a collaborative decision. That was not Dave Roberts going up to Andrew Friedman saying, no, I'm going with this bullpen game. I will not start Tony Gonsolin. No, he trusts the medical staff. He trusts what Tony Gonsolin is saying about his recovery. And look, let's be honest here. To expect Tony Gonsolin to go out and shove, if he was going to get the opportunity today, who would have been on normal rest, I think that is a little far-fetched. I think that's a little unrealistic because it's not like he's been lighting the world on fire himself. I mean, he has looked solid since he has returned at times, but for the most part, he hasn't looked great in his return. I mean, the walks, the efficiency hasn't been there. In his last start against the Reds, he ended up allowing 3 runs in 5 innings, had 5 strikeouts and 3 walks, but needed 92 pitches to go 5 innings. So I think he would have been solid. I think he would have given them a better chance to win than the bullpen game today, but still, I think that there's a good chance that maybe they still lose if they only have 5 hits and score 3 runs, even with Tony Gonsolin on the bump. The real rub on this, the big problem problem is the fact that Julio Urias was not able to return, and that's just the reality of the situation. They need Julio Urias to be back in this rotation, a guy that they have depended upon to give you 6-7 innings, quality starts each and every time, each and every turn through this rotation, and you're just not getting that this year. And until he returns, this Dodgers team, they are going to be shaky. This rotation is leaking water. But here we go. We got WTF is going on with the Dodgers. That's from Elijah Cruz. We got Claire Metzler over on Facebook. What do you expect with 3 starters on the IL? That's from Claire Metzler. Yeah, look, I mean, injuries are inevitable in this sport. Injuries are part of the game of baseball. And right now, the injury bug has sunk its teeth deep into this Dodgers rotation. Just like we saw in years past, they just can't seem to stay healthy. And it's more of the same. And you lose Julio Urias. You lose Dustin May to the 60-day IL. And you lose Ryan Pepiot. Michael Grove doesn't look good. I mean, there's a lot of instances where, look, you just don't have a full boat when it comes to guys you can trust. And look, the reality is the bullpen, even if this team was healthy, yes, they are taxed. Yes, they are very heavily taxed. And you can't have your bullpen covering 50, 60% of your innings. But still, I just don't think the talent is there right now. I think that this team thinks they have the magic elixir that can teach every bullpen piece that slider, and they're magically going to become a shutdown reliever. That's not the case. That's not the case anymore in Major League Baseball. Salvador Castaneda over on Facebook. Fire Roberts, fire Roberts, fire Roberts, fire Roberts, fire Roberts, fire Roberts, fire Roberts. Now, I want to know, did you copy and paste that, or did you actually type each of those out? Because if you typed them out, I'd be a little more impressed. But, yeah, look, if you want to aim all your darts at Dave Roberts, if you want to blame him for the sinking of the Titanic, I totally get it. We know how it works on this show. But the reality is, this is roster construction. This is a team that almost is looking at this season as, hey, look, there weren't very many options to sign the offseason. But, hey, the reality of the situation at this point is these bullpen pieces aren't going to be getting it done. And they got some more bad news from the bullpen. I'm going to tell you about that in a little bit. Some more bad news for this Dodgers bullpen. And it's definitely another reason why I fully believe they have to go out there and make a trade if they want any hope of winning the World Series this season, because I just don't think the internal options are quite there. I think Emmett Sheehan has a lot of potential, but look, what do we see from Nick Robertson? A couple days ago, he looked really good. Second time, not so great. It's very difficult to expect AA and AAA pitchers to come up and have an impact on a team with World Series aspirations. Yes, you're going to get those flashes. Yes, you're going to get them to flash that potential at times, but to expect them to do it each and every appearance is unrealistic. You need proven professional veteran pitchers if you want to win in the postseason. That's just the reality. And look, if you want to say, hey, let's punt on this season, let's get to Ohtani, I understand that that's a one way of thinking about this, but also realize too that, hey, there's a lot of guys on this team that are only going to be on this team for the next season. I would say right now there's an 85% chance that Julio Urias won't be back with the Dodgers. That's just how I feel. That's based on the facts. And then JD Martinez on a 1-year deal. Jason Hayward, he'll be gone. You got Dave Peralta, he'll be gone. Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts are in their primes. There's no guarantee that Clayton Kershaw returns. So if you do believe in this core, you're going to have to go out there and make some moves. And also, too, one of my golden gooses, one of my big white whales that I was after, Liam Hendricks, he left the game, and he's on the 15-day IL with elbow soreness. So that's definitely an issue as well. But let's jump back to the comment section. 2018 vibes, LFG, fire, fire, fire.
Fire team.
It definitely has some 2018 vibes. I think the difference there is that team was on a World Series hangover. This team is ready to win. The offense has proven that it is capable of scoring tons of runs and being able to just light up the scoreboard, but they just don't have the support from the pitching to win consistently in the last 25 games. So, yeah, I definitely see the similarities there. I mean, of course, you got Floro, Pedro Baez, that Kenley Jansen-led bullpen, but it's a different story this time around. I think this is a very different team that yes, they could get back to the World Series, but that's a team that had Walker Buehler. I mean, that's a Walker Buehler that was primed for a postseason run. He was lights out Game 163. He was lights out throughout the postseason, and I think that team had Hyun-Jin Ryu, you had Clayton Kershaw, lots of pieces on that team, and that team was also gritty and gutsy. You had Justin Turner and Chris Taylor, Yasiel Puig. You trade for Manny Machado, and And I like that example because, look, that team where it was standing, they still went out there. They made a move for Manny Machado. We'll see if Andrew Friedman and company do the same thing this year, and I expect that they possibly do. We got Kurz from I don't know. We have over half our pitching staff on the IL, SMH. That's from Philip Gomez. Yeah, I mean, half the pitching staff is on the IL. Yes, that's an issue. Yes, Bobby Miller has stepped up, and he's assumed a role as a potential ace of this team in the future, but it's really a necessity right now that he performs for them. Clayton Kershaw, he's put together consecutive really, really nice starts, and he looks like he's all the way back. He looks like he's a guy that you can count on to go 6, to go 7, to go do Kershaw-like things, so I'm feeling good about that. But save for Kershaw and Bobby Miller, there's not a lot of guys you can bet on that are going to go out there and give you consistent efforts, and that's why this team has been losing games, and they're definitely in some sort of trouble. And they come home, they have a series against the White Sox, who played better of late. They have a series against the Giants, who have been playing much better of late, so they are going to be tested at home. We got chat over on Facebook. I told everybody the Dodgers will not win the division. I told everybody the Dodgers will not make the playoffs. They are not better than Philadelphia. They are not better than the Mets. They're not better than St. Louis. They're not better than the Reds. Okay, that's a long one. It's your college thesis, your high school senior thesis there, your essay. So throw in the towel from Jason Diamond. Jonathan Morin says, I like that. Throw in the towel. That's from Jason Diamond. Throw in the towel. Feels like we're watching Rocky, right? And he's thinking about throwing in the towel. And you got Mick talking to him. I don't think this team is anywhere close to throwing in the towel. I think this team definitely has to tread water. This team is in a position where, yeah, they are going through it. It's the down bad Dodgers right now, and they're going to have some work to do. And part of that work is about finding a way to get some type of consistency out of this bullpen that has continued to falter, and also the starting pitching that's just not going deep into games. So we got what a Padre fan would say, GTFO. Man, this stinks. That's from Sam Crandell over on YouTube. Yeah, so jump into it because top of the first inning, an opportunity right there. You had Betts, he struck out swinging. Freeman, he struck out swinging. Will Smith, he doubled to right. It's been a rough week for Will Smith. Then Muncy, he draws an 8-pitch walk, and then runners on first and second, 2 outs. JD strikes out looking on a cutter away for the 3rd out. So JD Martinez, he had some opportunities today. He wasn't able to come through. He's been phenomenal lately, but today just wasn't his day. And then bottom of the first inning, you have Caleb Ferguson on the mound. We know the issues that he's had of late. He gives it the home run to walk it off against the Reds. The Reds walk it off on Fergie, and that was a bad pitch. That was a bad pitch by Ferg the other day. I haven't seen a pitch that bad since Fergie sang the national anthem at the All-Star game a few years ago. So that's how bad that pitch was. But I was looking for him to get back on the schneid, to have a better effort out there. And it definitely had some bright points, but he ended up still giving up a run there. So Schwarber, he grounds to short for the 1st out, and then Trey Turner, he reaches on an infield single. Then 0-2 pitch to Castellanos, he singles to center, and with runners on first and second, 1 out, 1-1 pitch. He singles to left to score Trey Turner to make it 1-0 Phillies. A cutter right there. Nice piece of hitting. Not terribly hard contact right there. So, look, some bad luck for Ferguson, but hey, that's why I always say, everyone always says out there, the big baseball cliche, the double play is the pitcher's best friend. No, the double play isn't the pitcher's best friend. The strikeout is the pitcher's best friend. The punchy is the pitcher's best friend. You know why that is? That's because you don't get the flukiness. You get to miss the bat. You control it right there by dominating hitters, and he comes back and he strikes out Bone on 3 pitches for the 2nd out. Bounces back to that on the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Stott. He punches him out with a 4-seam fastball up in the zone to get out of the inning and limit the damage to just 1 run. So there, he needs to get some more strikeouts in big situations and execute pitches, and when he's in those situations, he needs to come alive. But here we go. Used too many pitchers in the bullpen. Should have used 3 pitchers. That's from Craig Osterberg. Fire everyone. That's from Anthony over on YouTube. So you got a Raiders fan in the mix there. Is that Devontae Adams. Carl, never seen a pitching staff that always gives back runs the next at bat after the offense scores. Yeah, Carl, we saw that today. Freddie Freeman hits a home run, they get their run back. Jason Hayward gets a home run, they get their runs back. So, yeah, I mean, you would like to have some more clean innings to really build on that momentum, because when Freddie comes up there and does damage, when Hayward comes up there and does damage, you know this offense is never out of it, but it definitely hurts the momentum of these rallies when the bullpen gives up. If it's at the very least one run, it definitely hurts that momentum. So I definitely agree with you on that one. Kayla Kidd, Muncy is a liability and Taylor is useless. Yeah, a rough week for Chris Taylor once again. He comes in with an opportunity, bases loaded, and he ends up striking out with the bases loaded. He ends up going... He was bad this week. It was like 8 for 18, striking almost 50% of the time. So a rough week for CT3 once again. And then we got Philip Gomez. We need more contact hitters or better pitching. Philip Gomez, I definitely agree with that. That is why I want to see a trade. I want to see a trade for Tim Anderson. I think Tim Anderson brings that bat to ball when he's right. I'd like to see a trade. Tim Anderson, Joe Kelly, Lucas Giolito. Give me some of these White Sox players, but the White Sox, they're playing much better of late, so they're not going to punt on their season of yet. So the reality is there really is no moves to be made at the moment. We will make some moves, and we'll explore some moves when players become available a month from now. You're going to start to see the rumors very soon here, maybe the next few weeks. But really, as far as pulling the trigger on a move, the prospect capital that you would have to give up, you would get fleeced in that situation. The value there, you would have to overpay, and you're operating from a position of essentially no leverage right there. So I don't see them making a move in the next 1 or 2 weeks. It's going to be closer to the deadline, which is towards the end of July. We got Chad Safro. Dodgers fans, don't blame the injuries, because every team has injuries. Injuries, blame, start the manager, start blaming the GM, start blaming the ownership. Every team has injuries. That's excuse. The ownership destroyed, dismantled a 111-win team. They didn't sign Trey Turner back when they didn't sign Justin Turner. Wait a minute. First of all, I'm going to push back on you, Chad. They didn't sign Justin Turner. What do you mean? Why would you resign? What would this team's record be with Justin Turner? What would this team's record be with JT in this line? Do you think it'd be better? Do you think they would have more success with JT over JD Martinez? You really think that? JT has a 106 weighted runs created plus. That means Justin Turner's bat is 6% above league average. Justin Turner is hitting 264. Justin Turner, if he was on this team, if he was playing defense, it'd be below average defense. If he was in this lineup, he'd be a DH. You really would have Justin Turner over JD Martinez, who entered today with a 148 weighted runs created plus, meaning his bat is not 6% above league average, it's 48% above league average. A guy who has hit 16 home runs, just hitting 275. So I disagree with you big on that one. This team is better off without Justin Turner in this lineup. As far as not signing Trey Turner, I'm okay with that as well. You don't want to sign a shortstop to an 11-year deal, especially one in Trey Turner that will probably be playing that position at the most for the next 2 to 3 seasons before he eventually moves over to second base and I think ends up in the outfield at some point. He is getting better. He is getting hotter, but still Trey Turner has struggled this season. So I'm okay with that. I think the issue this Dodgers team has is really they're in a interesting position because, look, I don't fault them for not signing Dansby Swanson or Carlos Correa or any of the players. Really, I mean, Aaron Judge was always going to go back to the New York Yankees for the most part, and if it wasn't the Yankees, it was going to be the Giants, okay? So as far as marquee free agents goes, there was no one out there that they could have signed. Do you want them to sign Jacob deGrom, whose career is probably over after signing that big deal, $185 million with the Texas Rangers? So, look, I think I'm going to reserve judgment on this team until we get to the deadline to see how aggressive they want to be and trying to help this team. But hey, the reality is I think it's more systemic in the bullpen that they have not been developing for years. Trusting guys like a Bruce Dark Gratterall, like a Alex Vesia, like some of these guys who, are they those dominant relievers that you need? I'm not so sure. They haven't proven it in the postseason, that's for sure. We got the bullpen looks fatigued. D-Mac, that's from Jose Marquez. They do look fatigued. They are taxed. I mean, that's why I said the other day, look, it is fitting they're from California because this is a heavily taxed bullpen, okay? And this is a bullpen that they need a respite. They need a way to get some rest and to get fresh. And these starting pitchers, save for Bobby Miller and Clayton Kershaw, they're not doing their part. they're not helping them out. And then you add the fact that you have additional injuries. And speaking of injuries, a little update on Alex Reyes, who they ended up signing hoping that he was going to be a possible weapon coming out of that pen. And he told me during spring training that he was hoping to be back at some point in June. Well, guess what? We learned today Alex Reyes is undergoing another shoulder surgery, and he's going to miss the entire 2023 season. So I've seen this movie before, and I hated the ending. And this was the movie from last year. Waiting for guys all year to return from the IL, only for them not to return, or when they did, to be terrible. Blake Treinen away from all year, gives up the home run to Cronenworth in Game 2. Dustin May away from all year, comes back, hot start, then he's bad. We don't even see him in the NLDS. Waiting for Tony Gonsolin to come back after a really nice start of the season, where he makes his first All-Star game. He comes back, he was bad, didn't look like the same guy in the NLDS. The Dodgers keep waiting and waiting and waiting for guys to return, and they're never the same, and they're never what we had expected them to be. Now, there is some encouraging news with Daniel Hudson, and I'm hoping that Daniel Hudson can come back and at the very least be a high leverage guy, be a guy that you can count on to get saves at times. And Daniel Hudson, he made his second appearance for the Dodgers Arizona Complex League, started on Saturday afternoon, and he's starting his rehab assignment on Tuesday. Now, on Saturday, he had a scoreless inning with one strikeout. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best. I mean, he allowed a single to the first batter, and he was thrown out trying to steal second base. So, I mean, look, it wasn't a perfect start, but still, he went out there, and at the very least, he is competing. And also an update on Jimmy Nelson. Jimmy Nelson, he pitched a scoreless second inning. He had a walk and a punch out, and he's going to be headed to his rehab assignment very soon too. So there is some encouraging news coming out of the injury front as far as reinforcements on the way, but still, I think if you really want to win, you got to go out there and you got to explore those external options. But let's jump into this game. Fire Roberts is sucky, lazy ass take. That's from Joseph Magazzini. It's a fire take right there. Honestly, look, I would say it's a casual take. I would say if you say Fire Roberts, you're either saying that you think that Dave Roberts and what he's hired to do. I always say Dave Roberts is hired to be David Goggins, the motivational speaker, a Tim Robbins in a Dodgers jersey, right? He's Tim Robbins in a Dodgers jersey, David Goggins in a Dodgers jersey, a guy that his job is to instill confidence in his guys, to get the buy-in from his superstars, to get guys like Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, to empower them to be leaders in that clubhouse. And I've got news for you. Dave Roberts does just that. But on the same token, the deck's not stacked for Dave Roberts this year. The bullpen is one of the worst in the league by statistics, by anecdotal evidence, by just the overall feel, the eye test. They're just one of the worst in the league. And when you don't have the ingredients, you can't expect that. You can't expect him to make a 3-star Michelin chef meal out of the ingredients that he has right now. That's unrealistic. And I think, too, if you want to say fire Dave Roberts, you should always, if you want to sound savvy, if you want to sound informed, you should always include fire Dave Roberts and Andrew Friedman and the front office and have Mark Walter sell the team, because I can tell you from firsthand knowledge that they are in lockstep with each other. That is a collaborative process with this group. And look, if you feel that way, then yeah, I go all for that. I'm not saying don't have an opinion, because I absolutely have opinions on the show, and that's what this show's all about. But the reality is Dave Roberts represents everything this organization tries to do from a schematic standpoint, from a tactical standpoint, from a cultural leadership standpoint. And if you have a problem with Dave Roberts, you have a problem with the entire organization and all the powers that be within this organization. But here we go. Dave Roberts is not the problem. He's just not. That's from the Gypsy Dodger. We got Freeman has some big decisions to make. Kahlua kid. Yeah, I mean, it's a myth out there. Like saying fire Dave Roberts is like saying, oh, the NBA is rigged. The NBA is rigged. Really? The Nuggets winning the championship in 5 games, the NBA is rigged, right? I mean, let's be honest here. Sorry, D-Mac, I watch Bochy manage all the time. He's simply superior. He uses intuition. I'm not saying that Dave Roberts is the best manager in baseball. I'm not saying that Dave Roberts is a better manager than Bruce Bochy. I'm saying that baseball has changed. Baseball has changed in the last 10 to 15 years, where the power is not all in the manager's hands. Yes, the manager has a role, but it is broken up. I mean, we're talking about 60-40 splits, something in that world. But Bochy makes Roberts look like a clown. Roberts is the main problem from Careless Whisper. If you think that Dave Roberts is a bigger problem than the roster construction, then I don't know what to tell you. If you mean to tell me that Bruce Bochy with his bullpen would have a better record, I don't know what to tell you. Because first of all, Bruce Bochy, if he would have accepted that job, it would have been because Andrew Friedman. You want to know how much of a role you have on this team, how important your role is within an organization. Look no further than how much you're getting paid. Andrew Friedman's getting paid $7-8 million per year. He's one of the highest paid executives in all of Major League Baseball. Dave Roberts not, right? And there's a reason for that. That's because a lot of the decision-making power, it comes from upstairs. But here we go. Jump back into this game and talk about where it all went wrong. I'll keep reading your comments. I'm all for a healthy debate, though. By the way, I will say, though, if you lose, if this team, let's say, misses the playoffs, if this team heads into next season or they make the playoffs and they blow it like we saw last year, I think from an optics standpoint, maybe you do need a new voice. Maybe it would be time to move on from Dave Roberts at that point. And I think the organization, they would just handpick another manager that they would say, hey, well, you're going to, if you want to be a part of this team, if you want to manage for this Dodgers organization, you're going to have to listen to how we run things around here. So unless they change the entire organization from top to bottom, the role of the manager, I think, is not as significant as you think it is. It's just the reality. But Matthew Thomas, the answer is David Bednar from the Pirates. If it takes Diego Cartaya, so be it. Matthew Thomas, interesting take, a fire take for sure. I will say, though, look, I mean, I think if you're going to trade Diego Cartaya, you got to trade him for a bigger fish. You got to trade him for a starting pitcher, an elite position player, not a reliever that's under team control for a few seasons. Because, look, relievers are volatile. You never know what you're going to get from one year to the next. Look what we saw in the last few years with Kenley Jansen, had his ups and downs. Kimbrel, look what we saw last year. So you're talking about a potential cornerstone of your franchise in Diego Cartaya. I just don't see them making that move for Bednar just because it's never happened. They rarely make moves for significant bullpen pieces, let alone ones that would require your top prospect. Now, they did. There were some rumors back in 2019 that they were interested in going after Felipe Vasquez, which thank the Lord they did. And that was the ultimate dodging of a bullet. But still, I think for the most part, it's a little unrealistic to think they're going to go that route. Fire Friedman from Dan Smith. We got 1988 had Lasorda, not Roberts. I don't know. You know what's funny is if you read the history of Tommy Lasorda, the same things they're saying about Dave Roberts, they were saying about Tommy Lasorda back in the day as far as bullpen management, as far as they thought he left starters into the games too long. They didn't go to the bullpen enough. And Tommy Lasorda, he ends up winning 2 World Series titles. I do think, though, one thing that Tommy Lasorda, I think, did better than any manager in the history of Major League Baseball, if you kind of read about the history, is he deflected attention from the team onto himself. And he did it in so many different ways. And I think that was something that you really love. I mean, you talk about some of the stories from the World Series that they were in and some of the run-ins that he got in with his players. And look, I mean, that's kind of what is the magic about Tommy Lasorda. So, yeah, I think it's a very different era, though. This bullpen is full of bull. That's from Carl. Christine Selby, what's the problem with Dr. Organization? They have such a deep pocket. Why aren't they purchasing a starting pitcher or, for that matter, a lights-out closer? Why, Doug? Why? That's from Christina Selby. Look, I think this team, they have money, but they spend it wisely as far as that's how they look at it. And look, the reality is, who was an off-season bullpen piece they could have signed that would have changed the game? I mean, what, a Lugo or what, a Brad Hand? I mean, there really was no pieces out there that I think would have changed things, but I think that there are some names that could be available at the deadline that can absolutely change the Dodgers' favors. I mean, I'm in favor of Joe Kelly coming back. We'll see what happens with Liam Kendricks if that's a serious injury. We'll see Bartlow from the Kansas City Royals. So there are some names out there that are very intriguing, and more names will emerge. We got Angie Shavara, Daniel Hudson is coming back. Dodgers. We got Dodgers have become a very undesirable team to join. That's from Carl. Muncy should not be nowhere up in this lineup. But, yeah, let's go down here. We got a super chat right here. Appreciate you, Dan Smith. 199 Fire Friedman failed to retain homegrown talent. That's from Dan Smith. Yeah, I mean, look, they made an offer for Corey Seager. He went up to the Rangers. But I think for the most part, this team, They've won tons of games, made it to the playoffs every year. They're always in the mix, but I think that I always call them the incomplete elite, right? The incomplete elite. Yes, the World Series in 2020 was fantastic, but the reality is they've done less with more when it comes to financial resources as far as World Series chips goes. Only the Atlanta Braves that made it to 14 straight postseasons are in that conversation. So I definitely think this Dodgers team, you need more from them. They need another World Series if they want to call themselves the model organization. If they want to puff out their chest and they want to say, hey, we are the model team, we're the team that everyone's chasing, you have to win one more World Series for me to crystallize that at the very least. Because if not, 20, 40, 60, 80 years from now, we'll look back and say, during this stretch, the Dodgers did less with more than any team in Major League Baseball. I mean, this is a team that prints money. This is a team that leads the league in revenue. This is a team that has a payroll that's always upwards of $220+ million, yet they have one World Series in a 60-game season to show for it. So I think a lot of fans out there, they want to see more. And I also think, too, they were robbed in 2017. But here we go. J.D. Martinez is raking. That's from Jonathan Morin. Yeah, J.D. Martinez, he continues to be fantastic like we talked about. And today he had some opportunities, just wasn't able to come through. But bottom of the second inning, Clemens, he grounded to first for the first out. Victor Gonzalez on the mound. He gets Clemens to ground to first for the first out. And he gives it the single to Marsh to right. And then Stubbs, he struck him out looking for the second out. Nice slider there. And then he gets Schwarber to ground to first for the third out. So nice job by Vigon there, working his way around a one-out single. And then top of the third inning, Dodgers had an opportunity there, couldn't take advantage. And this was really a painful inning as far as the BABIP gods. The BABIP gods were not nice to the Dodgers during this inning. Miguel Rojas, he grounded third for the first out, and Mookie Betts, one-out single to left. And Freddie Freeman, with Mookie on first, one out, he flies to center. That there had a 660 expected batting average, so looked like he was going to do damage. Great alignment there from the Phillies. They were able to make the play. And the next batter, Will Smith, down 0-2 in the count. He comes back to draw a 7-pitch walk to give the Dodgers runners on first and second with 2 outs. And then with runners on first and second, 2 outs, Max Muncy flies to center. And this one looked like at the very least it was going for extra bases. Had an 850 expected batting average. Would have been a home run in one of 30 teams, one of 30 ballparks around Major League Baseball, Wrigley Field. But that goes as an out. He makes the catch, and the Dodgers just couldn't take advantage of those base runners. Just bad luck with balls in play. And like I said, I mean, Marsh did a really great job running that down. He caught those 2 deep drives there. Great positioning. I think the Dodgers' positioning with Hayward wasn't as good, and Hayward's range wasn't as good later in that game. But here, jump into the comment section. BC, if they don't win their division, they could easily miss the playoffs. Yeah, look, the Diamondbacks are really good. The Diamondbacks are scrappy. They're built for the new rules. So they're a team that I think they're proving doubters wrong in that, hey, they're not going away. They're going to continue to compete, and you got to give them a lot of credit. But should have kept Chris Martin. That's from Carl over on YouTube. Yeah, look, Chris Martin, he was definitely a revelation for the Dodgers. He was a guy that really came in, was struggling with the Cubs, but they traded for Zach McKinstry. The strikeout rate was nice. The walk rate was high. He was giving up a lot of home runs, but he really found his way with the Dodgers. This year, he's looked solid too with Boston. He has a 2.41 ERA, a 2.79 FIP in 18 2/3 innings, but that's just not what the Dodgers do. They just don't spend on these bullpen pieces. They just don't do it. And I've been screaming from the highest mountaintops. I've been pounding my fist down on the table that, hey, at some point you're going to have to. Because look, Chris Martin on a 2-year, $13.5 million deal, if you're already going to be over, that looks like a contract. I'd rather have Chris Martin than Blake Trinan, right? I mean, who wouldn't? A guy that actually can get on the mound and make some consistent outs and get you out of big situations. But versus someone who really is not going to be out there very often, and some of these injuries just have taken their toll. But here we go. D-Mac cooking about some trace. We got Fire Friedman from Dan Smith. Facts hurt your feelings. That's from Seager. Seager didn't want to re-sign with our anti-Christian. Okay, I got to read that. Attaboy, Doug. What up, Matty, man? We got Norm Newman. Dodgers will still get it done and win the West. That's from, again, that brings me to Norm. That brings me to my Dodger dog of the game.
Dodger dog of the
And my next lot
game.
of half-full takes of the game, which are, 1, Freddie Freeman continues to rake. We saw that again today. Hits a home run, gets another base hit. Also, how about Adam Kolarek? I thought Adam Kolarek, he did a really nice job today. He goes an inning in the third, gave that hit to Stott, but still he goes 1, 2, 3 in the fourth. So, hey, he's a guy, a loogie. If you need a lefty specialist with the way that we've seen lefties perform out of this pen with Ferguson, with Brewer, with Alex Vesia, Adam Cleric, a very interesting option there. So that's my Michelada half-full take. But let's keep breaking down this game. We got Victor Banos Waka was available, and they go for Thor. That's from Victor Banos over on. Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I mean, they got caught up with Noah Syndergaard. If you guys saw when we did the Black Friday thing, I was against signing Thor. I was against Thor before the season. I thought that he was good. I said period point blank when everyone was getting caught up in Thor and this and that, and I was the first to say that you're either going to get the Avengers Endgame Thor, or you're going to get the Love and Thunder Thor. And I said, hey, if I had to bet on it, I think you're going to get the Endgame Thor, because I thought, hey, when I saw him pitch with my own eyes, I didn't see how he was going to get the velocity back. And he's a guy that depends on velocity to be effective. So I never bought into Noah Syndergaard being effective and having a positive impact on this team. And I was pretty much the only person I saw out there that said he was going to be my big disappointment for this season. So I hate to be right about that, because I don't want to see players fail. But yeah, the reality is I don't see what this organization saw in him. In fact, next time you see, do they not pay the rent on Mark Pryor's pitching lab? Because the pitching lab, they had some L's this season. They've had some L's last season. And look, what I tell you guys, yes, they're the best in the business. Yes, when it comes to optimizing pitches, they're great at what they do, but they're not batting 1,000. They're not perfect. They're going to have some mistakes. And what they do is they can get players' careers back on track. They can revitalize players, but they can't resurrect players. And for Noah Syndergaard, I said at the very beginning, if he wants to have success, he has to reinvent himself, not get back to where he was. When he said that extremely creepy thing a few weeks ago about the fact that he would give up his unborn child, his unborn son, to get back to where he was, I said that's wrong and weird. It's weird because of what he said. It's also wrong because you shouldn't try to get back to where you were. That shouldn't be the mindset. It should be to reinvent yourself. But he doesn't want to do that. And he doesn't want to find another pitch. He doesn't want to develop a slider like a Clayton Kershaw, or make the necessary adjustments to go out there and at the very least be a contributor. That's not what he's doing. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all. But Ohtani has lost interest in coming to the Dodgers. That's from Carl. Oh, do you know Ohtani? You got Ohtani's number? FaceTime him. Give me his number. I'll FaceTime. I'm going to recruit him myself. But no, I think we'll see what happens with Shohei Ohtani. I do think, though, that you do bring a good point, though. I will give you credit. You bring up a good point, though, in that if you're Shohei Ohtani, you are looking at what the Dodgers are doing this year. You are looking at what the Mets are doing. You are looking at what the Mariners are doing and the Giants. I think you bring up a very valid point, and part of the courting process to signing the most coveted free agent in the history of Major League Baseball. Actually, check that, the most coveted free agent in the history of sports. He's going to want to see how an organization is running, because if he sees this Dodger team flailing, if he sees none of their young pitchers coming up and having success, maybe he says to himself, hey, are the Dodgers really going to get me what I want? But hey, if I was Ohtani, I would say, wait a minute. If they don't trade Bobby Miller for me, I got Bobby Miller. I got Walker Buehler. I got Tony Gonsolin. I have Dustin May. I have Gavin Stone. I have some of these other guys that are going to have the pitching depth around me that I didn't have in Anaheim. So I think that's the number one thing. And offensively, you still have Mookie. You still have Freddie. You still have Will Smith. You still have a lot of these talented offensive players that I think if I'm Shohei, I say, which of these organizations has to fix something, and what's the easiest to fix? Well, it is the bullpen. So I think if I'm Shohei Ohtani, the Dodgers are still a very attractive organization. But here we go. Mike Wargo says you can't make chicken sound out of chicken blank. Yep. We got Doom_Sal. Mark Pryor needs to go back to Hogwarts to find some more magic. That's our Hornitos comment of the game over there from Doom_Sal. D-Mac to replace Friedman and Roberts. That'd be great. D-Mac for manager. Hey, man, I'd light a fire under these boys. I'd be breaking stuff. I'd go Tommy Lasorda instantly. Must trade Taylor and Muncy while they have value. Very inconsistent. We got Tommy Cunningham, $2 in the super chat. What would a package look like for Shane Bieber? Look, if you look at Shane Bieber, the concern I have is the strikeout rate has plummeted. The velocity has gone down. So what a package, you're still going to have to include some top prospects. You're still going to have to include probably one or two of the top 10 prospects for Shane Bieber, at least one for Shane Bieber. I think if I was the Dodgers, if I was going to make a trade for Bieber, I would see what I could get for Clase or someone else and try to make a package deal. I don't think you would see them go for just a Bieber on his own, because look, if you look at his numbers this year, I mean, he has a 16.3 strikeout rate, 16.3. That's one of the worst in the league. Those are Noah Syndergaard type numbers. ERA, it's not terrible at 3.57. The FIP is over 4. The velocity is down. So I'll be honest with you, I don't think that Shane Bieber would move the needle. I really do not. I think he could be solid, but who does he displace in a 5-game NLDS series if everyone's healthy? Who does he start over? Does he start over Julio Urias? No. Does he start over Clayton Kershaw? No. Does he start over Bobby Miller? No. So, I mean, who does he start over? Okay, and then Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, Walker Buehler. I mean, I think it's possible. Yeah, I mean, would they make a trade for a 4th or 5th back-end starter? I just don't know if they would, but he could help this team. He could definitely solidify this rotation as far as a guy that's going deeper in the games. I mean, 13 starts, 80 and 2/3 innings, but I just want to wait it out a little more, see if some other names continue to emerge. But as far as with that Guardians team, would they trade him? I think they would definitely be open to the idea. But here we go. Can't trade Diego Cartaya, Bruce Davis, D-Mac. This team not winning anymore. There's nothing there. We'll help this team with Freeman trash. Come on, guys. Try to get these together. We got Danny Duffy still around. That's from JRM. Yeah, we got so jump to the top of the 3rd inning. No, let's go to so we talked about let's go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. So bottom of the 3rd inning, you got Taylor Scott in the pitch. Trey Turner hits a leadoff double. Castellanos flies to left for the first out. They intentionally walk Harper, and then what happens? It's the stolen base rearing its ugly head once again. The Dodgers not holding runners. You got a double steal executed by Trey Turner and Harper. They got runners on 2nd and 3rd, and the next batter, he strikes out Bone on a slider away, and then Kolarek, he comes in with runners on 2nd and 3rd. Throws from just below, goes really down under there with that super sidewinder, and Stock gets a bloop single to left to score Trey Turner and Harper to make it 3-0 Phillies. So they get 2 runs there, not hard contact. You got a couple bloops in that inning. It was 76.8 miles per hour off the bat, a 240 expected batting average. So some bad luck right there, and then he gets Clemens to ground out to end the inning. So 2 outs right there, and they were able to get some runs. So more stolen bases, 3-0 Phillies. Bottom of the 4th inning, 1-2-3 for Kolarek. Jumping to the bottom of the 5th inning, Trey Turner, he grounds to 3rd for the first out. Castellanos struck out swinging, and then walked Harper on 4 pitches, and a 1-2 count to Bone. He gets him swinging. So, look, if you look at this Dodgers bullpen as a whole, you had some pretty okay performances today, but for the most part, not enough. Just not enough guys with clean innings to expect to win a bullpen game on the road against a Phillies team that's starting to trend in the right direction. But back into the comment section here. We got... There we go. And we're back. Exactly. Lasorda was always criticized as a subpar manager, tactical manager, and look at his success. Joseph Megazzini. Yeah, look, I mean, when you're the heat of the moment, that's what people remember. They remember just what happened. I mean, they see the 2 World Series titles, the iconic figure that he was, and he is that. I mean, deservedly so, but it's not like every manager is always going to be criticized. It doesn't matter what sport it is, what team it is, they're always going to get all the brunt of the blame. But burn it all the way down and rebuild with Bobby Miller. That's from Mike M. Wow, that is very bold by you. I don't see him doing that. This team doesn't like to rebuild. At the very least, they're going to retool, and we know what the end game is. Their end game is they want to get Shohei Ohtani. They want to find a way to get Ohtani in Dodger blue. But yeah, after Claire came in, I think Yancy Almonte did a really nice job. He had 2 strikeouts in his inning of work. He was efficient through 16 pitches, 10 for strikes. Then Alex Vesia, he had put together a couple, three scoreless appearances before this one. He comes in to pitch the bottom of the 6th. I will say one thing that struck my mind is you saw the controversy with the Phillies having a faster pitch clock. If there's anyone in Major League Baseball that would impact the most, it would be Alex Vesia. So I was fearful of that. And he issues a leadoff walk right there. And that's where it really hurt. A leadoff walk to Stott. and then he struck out Clemens with a slider for the first out. Then 1-1 pitch to Marsh. He singles to right to give the Phillies runners on the corners, and with runners on the corners, a 2-0 count to Stubbs. He lays down a bunt to the left side to score Stott to make it 4-1 Phillies. Vesia didn't get the ball out cleanly on the exchange. Not a great play. They end up getting Marsh out at second on a rundown for the second out, and he comes back and he strikes out Schwarber swinging with a four-seam fastball away for the third out. So Phillies get that run back on the single by Stubbs, and that, of course, followed up Freddie Freeman, who hit his 13th home run of the year at the top of that inning, his third in 6 games, going to left center more. You're seeing he looks so much more locked in at the plate. This guy's the real deal. He's an MVP. And, yeah, MV free is the real deal, and that's one of the reasons why I want to see this team go all in on the 2023 Dodgers is because you have peak prime Freddie Freeman at this point. Then you jump to the top of the 7th inning. Dodgers get another solo home run. This time is Jason Hayward. That makes it 4-2. The Dodgers climb within 2. 7th home run of the year for Jay Hay, former Braves, getting it done for the Dodgers, and then jump to the bottom of the 7th inning. This is where the Phillies really pulled away. Nick Robertson, who I must say, he was the winner of the Michelada Half Full Award from a few nights ago because of his first career start. His first career appearance against the Reds, where he went 2 innings, had 3 strikeouts. He looked really, really solid. Well, hey, this is Major League Baseball. In Major League Baseball, what do they always say? They say Major League Baseball is the toughest, most cruel classroom in the world because it will humble you very quickly. It will humble you very quickly. In the bottom of the 7th inning, Nick Robertson, 2-0 count to Trey Turner. He hits a leadoff single to left, and the next batter, 1-2 pitch to Castellanos. He homers to left to make it 6-2 Phillies. Slider away, not the worst pitch in the world, but Castellanos put a good swing on it, got the fat part of the bat on it, and that puts the Phillies up 6-2. Next batter, 1-2 pitch. He gets boned to ground into a 6-4-3 double play. Batter after that, Stott. He triples to right. And then Clemens singles to right to score Stott to make it 7-2 Phillies. Then he walks Marsh on 6 pitches, just struggling with the changeup and four-seam fastball command. And then finally, to stop the bleeding, he gets Stubbs to ground to first for the third out. So the Phillies get 3 runs on 5 hits. They let 6 batters reach that inning. So Nick Robertson had a really nice first appearance, a really bad second appearance. So he'll learn, hey, Major League Baseball is a cruel game. We're getting into the final 2 innings in a second here, but let's jump back into the comment section. And by the way, just so many issues, like I said, with the Manta, with this team on the base pass. It affected them early again. You got the starting pitchers. They're falling asleep on the base pass. And just want to send a shout out to our friends over at Manta Sleep. Go over and get a Manta mask. This, if you want to get a nice, great nap, if you want to sleep better, go to Manta Sleep. Manta Sleep is the best in the game. Use promo code DN2023 to get a new Manta mask today. This is just one of the best sleeping masks, sleep accessories in the game, so definitely head over there to pick one up. We got Anthony Ferguson. D-Mac, you are a diehard Dodger fan, and you live and die with this team, but at least you're honest. Good or bad, keep up the good work. Anthony Ferguson, hey, I appreciate that because that is what I strive to do because, like I said, we are the same. One thing, no matter how much we disagree on things, and I would say for the most part we agree on things on this show, we're all true blue, diehard Dodgers fans. We're passionate about this team. We're passionate about this city, passionate about this franchise, and we just want to win. But Doug has some balls to speak the truth. Yeah, look, I mean, I'm trying, man. I'm trying to keep it 100 with you guys, and that's always my number one priority, my number one goal, even if it's the truth that hurts. I don't like saying that Julio Urias has an 80 or 90% chance of not being with this team next year. I don't like saying that if this team doesn't go out and make some bullpen trades, they won't have a chance to win the World Series. I hate saying that stuff. But like I said, is it the truth? I would say unequivocally, absolutely yes with a bullet. Now, top of the 8th inning, Alvarado, he comes in the game. He looked like he was wearing a Manta mask the way he was pitching out there. Betts, he issues him Betts draws a 4-pitch walk to start the top of the 8th inning, and an 0-2 pitch, Freddie Freeman, he singles to left for his second hit of the game, and then Will Smith, he draws a walk. Smitty didn't realize it at first, but Alvarado, he committed a pitch clock violation. He was able to get a walk, and then Max Muncy, with the bases loaded there, bases loaded, no outs, bases loaded. In the words of Bob Costas, the sacks were juiced, bases loaded, and Max Muncy, another pretty hard hit ball right there. He grounds to short for the first out. Great job on the alignment there from the Phillies defense. Trey Turner makes the play. Betts was able to score on the play to get the Dodgers another run. They played another run to make it 7-3, and That brings up JD Martinez, who's been one of the hottest hitters in the game, one of the hitters that you would want up there in that situation. It was a tough at-bat, but unfortunately, 3-2 pitch, he strikes out, and I was hoping, hey, JD Martinez, he had just missed a couple. He was definitely a guy that's so dangerous, and Alvarado, with his command where it was, I was hoping for the best there. 11 home runs in his last 19 games. He goes down swinging, and then Chris Taylor pinch hitting. He goes down swinging. So the Dodgers get one run with the bases loaded and no outs. You got the strikeouts of JD Martinez and Chris Taylor. So, yeah, there you have it. And then top of the ninth, they went out without much of a fight. Craig Kimbrell comes in. Old friend Craig Kimbrelsa, Craig Crumble, as we used to call him, who he's pitched better with the Phillies. And by the way, it's starting to become a little bit of a trend. You're starting to see players having some success outside of the Dodgers these days. Well, he comes in the top of the ninth, and he's able to, he gets Vargas swinging. He struck him out 3 pitches, 4-seam fastball away. Hayward fouled to first. Kimbrell was down 3-0 in the count. He comes back, 7th pitch. All 4-seam fastballs attacking him. He gets him to foul out. And then James Outman, he strikes out on a knuckle curve down and away to end the game. Dodgers fall to the Phillies 7-3. They dropped to 37-29, 3 games back of the Diamondbacks on the season in the NL West. So, yeah, we'll jump to the comments here, guys. We'll do straight comments the entire rest of the show, and we'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. Dodgers will dominate the second half. That's from Joe Mama. It's a fire take. It's a comment of the day. We got pound for pound, a lot of time left to right the ship. Hold the line, Dodgers Nation. That should be a fire take. There you go, pound for pound. If you want your fire take, you get it. Get Anthony Bass from NS. We got MDM. I love all the people and love. Okay, we got. Let's try to keep it a Dodger baseball on this one, guys. D-Mac for GM. That's from Cowboys 5 Rings. DCam, Dodgers better wake up and take the right pills to get out of this hellhole now. It's time to get serious. No more blowouts, even if we didn't have Kimbrell. D-Mac, it's your turn. Hey, thanks, DCam. BC, Dodgers only 2 games ahead of the Angels. Bad omen. It's a great point, BC. Trace Hayward season, I think we could unlock something with Bieber. We possibly could. I don't disagree. I just think, look, Shane Bieber, look, he's not the pitcher that people assume he is from years past. I mean, I think he's also under 1 more year of team control too, so that's something you factor in as well. He's getting $10 million, so they'll pay the remainder of that pro rate, obviously. So, yeah, I'm not totally against the idea. I think it's a possibility, but just with this team, they haven't made a move for a starting pitcher in a couple of years since they made a move for Max Scherzer. So, yeah, like I said, not against it, but would he be a guy you would love in the postseason with a 16% strikeout rate? Not so sure. We got D-Mac. All the Mets bullpen was available in the offseason. Why did the Dodgers not go after some of the Met pitchers? They cleaned house in the Met pen. Anthony Ferguson, because they believe in their development, because they believe in the guys they had. They assumed that guys like Daniel Hudson would have been ready at the beginning of the season. They didn't think that you wouldn't see Alex Reyes this year. They thought possibly you could get some guys back. And look, the reality is the starting pitching is equally as big of a problem for the Dodgers as the bullpen. But, yeah, look, the reality is they just didn't want to spend money. They didn't want to spend money. I mean, they got bitten with the Bauer situation, $22 million down the drain. They didn't go out there and make some big moves. They're trying to maintain flexibility so they can go after Ohtani. And they thought, hey, with the surplus of starting pitching, we're going to have some opportunities to have some other guys they can go up. And, hey, like I said, one thing before we head out of here, I would not discount the possibility of at least seeing an Emmett Sheehan. That's the next guy I want to see up come get an opportunity. He throws gas. He could definitely help this team at least bridge the gap until they get to the trade deadline. But a couple more here, guys. Anyway, still root for the Dodgers, and Doug has a great show. Thank you, MDM. Appreciate you guys. Couple more here. Let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Rafael says trade Bush and Grove to the White Sox for Anderson and Hendricks. Then trade Pepio and Syndergaard to the Brewers for Burns. Well, Noah Syndergaard does not have very much. I mean, you're talking about the guys that you would sell low. Dodgers, if they're going to trade guys, they don't want to sell them. They don't want to trade them when their value is at its very lowest, and they're not going to trade Pepio at the moment. And if you're a team out there, I think you'd be very skeptical of that anyway. But, yeah, I think Michael Bush is a guy that you could definitely shop, a guy that doesn't have a defined role on this team because he's really blocked at certain positions. So I think that's a possibility. I think he could headline a potential deal for a nice package that could get this team some much-needed reinforcements in the bullpen and possibly a starting pitcher. But a couple more. Hey, every team has ups and downs. Keep the faith, Dodger fans. That's from Camille. We got Ho Mama. They have more pitchers that are hurt. You never follow. We got DK. Why is the bullpen starting game. It's just giving us more schedule losses. Yeah, you look 17 that Mass DMAC NSA. $1. Appreciate you, Rebecca. But yep, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. A couple more here. Let's do a little walk-off shot. Who knew when you let the previous Cy Young winner leave while still paying him $22 million, it might come back to bite you in the ASS? Me. Mike M. Dodgers will be in Nicaragua talking to the underground guerrillas looking for arms. We are this from Roarley. We are not going anywhere this year. This year is nothing more than a practice year. Every game is a loss, maybe a win. It just doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, look, I mean, is it a situation where guys are auditioning for next year and beyond? I think there is a world where if it gets bad, that is a possibility. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Dodgers Nation post-game show. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Also, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you really want to support the channel, smash that like button. Remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.